Welcome to Alternate Endings.
Half audiobook.
Half podcast.
Full apocalypse.
New episodes every Monday.
Start your week considering how everything could come to an end.
This short story is titled War Machines. And for the first time on Alternate Endings, this episode will be part of a 2-episode story spanning this episode and our next. The recap for this short story, War Machines, will occur on episode 3. On board with this one, Logan said. Bored? Oliver asked. An explosion rippled across the screen, leveling trees and littering robot pieces across the mountainside. Smoke poured through the trees as autonomous tanks fell in half and spider-like robots collapsed. It's just getting started. The battle has all but just begun. The drones are flying in around the Nandes region, and these ground robots of the Americas that are still standing weren't supposed to thrive like this. Those sleek laser bots kicked some real ass, and now they have their flame chasers mounted. The initial forces of North Africa didn't do so hot like I thought they would. Lost money on them, actually. I predicted a clean sweep within 30 minutes. The stability of those tanks while firing their weapons didn't turn out, though. It was experimental stuff, always risky. The terrain didn't help either. You're not convincing me this isn't going to be boring, Logan said, scanning the different screens along the wall for some semblance of hope for his entertainment. Maybe I'll go bet more on it. Raise the stakes. Having 200 on it isn't exciting me. Used to be. I'd be living it up right now, telling everyone it's my shop. Logan raised his glass, cleaning the ice inside. Time for a refill, I suppose. Oliver followed, not taking his eyes off the screens covering every wall in the hotel. The bright green drones were flying in formation, and he was marveling at their new paint jobs. They were sporting new large sponsors on their wings, Filga Munitions. The North African team had gone through some serious changes over the last few months, and he was excited to see their drone fleet in action. This was their first holistic drone unit to put out against the Americas, who had not been doing well in battles lately. Oliver asked, Well, if you're going to put more money down, what terms are you going to bet on? Logan was watching a different screen, seeing the robot army strategizing on their hillside. 5 large drones against hundreds of dark gray, reflective, armed robots of the Americas. He wondered what they were saying, what language the Americas programmed them to speak. Logan also passively wondered if they programmed the robots to feel anything or if that hurt them in battle. Were the robots happy to win and be alive, or did they even think about their place in this constant machine-driven sport? He wasn't in the know about the behind-the-scenes history and stats of war machines like Oliver was. He thought he may ask, but shrugged the thought for now. To be honest, last time up my ante, I lost big time. I bet on that Goliath tank trying to put out about 6 months back. I thought it would smash the Russian bots it was up against in that desert. Seemed likely to me, so I tripled down and bet the tank would defeat those Russian quiver bots within 2 days. But they were so fast and stealthy, popping in and out of the sand. They were bloody snake-like, and I was obviously wrong. Logan set his empty glass on the bar and searched for a bartender. Maybe I'm just over this whole thing. The constant fighting, the machines, betting, making a sport of war. How long have we been betting on and talking about the same thing now? Countries squabble over things and then decide on terms of battle, enter the war machine system, and the rest becomes history. On and on and on. The noise level picked up as some cheering and booing exploded across the bar. Large bets must have taken place. Oliver yelled over the tidal noise of drunken mates. Yeah, there was a lot of hype to that humanoid tank, but the hyped machines often fall first. Logan shot Oliver a glance to make sure he heard what Logan had just said. Oliver continued. They generate too much press about them, too much marketing for the brand new bots, and not enough engineering behind their AI or components. The Americas often come in with surprises of their own, or at least they used to. Logan spoke. Yeah, like merging as a team to begin with. Can't believe South America forgave the States for that Stone Shore incident. Some humans were almost injured in that raid. A shiver ran through Logan at the thought of humans perishing in war combat. True, but Oliver looked across the room at the betting counter. The large digital clock above the desk counted down. Okay, Logan. Only 4 minutes left for betting. For today's match, I'm going to say I like the robots of the Americas. And that's not just because that's where I'm from. Look how fast they're already coordinating. They might have been clumped together on that hillside intentionally to lure in the drones. We'll find out soon, but they seem to be heading in all directions. Plus, they have those new fire weapons mounted. Logan considered without saying anything, his eyes browsing the room at everyone drinking, laughing, and staring at the screens on the wall. Bartender. Yeah. On the rocks again. Thanks. Logan turned around to Oliver. I already have my money on the Americas winning this overall. What do you think? Oliver turned to look at the time. 3 minutes remaining. Okay, 3 minutes. Let's see. The North African drones have not been put through combat against the Americas. They're a super team with some of the best AI, always using their humanoid robots. Always. These drones seem similar to that Russian design, but not entirely since they function from one cohesive consciousness. I'm not sure if they have the maneuverability to get these laser bots on the mountainside without giving up some direct line of fire. If you're going to double down, do you know any of today's terms? Let's see. Logan pulled up his phone, pointing it towards the betting booth. Looking at his screen, he reviewed the options. Some stuff looked okay, nothing extraordinary or particularly exciting. 20-1 that the drones don't lose any units. 30-1 odds the Americas don't lose any units to drones. 5-1 odds the laser bots make an obscene gesture towards the camera. You know how the States used to be on their own before joining the Americas. Classic stuff there, mate. Oliver laughed, sipping his beer. Anything about any weapons the drones will have? Crikey, Logan said, pausing. He stood up, no longer resting on the bar. On the rocks, the bartender said, setting the glass on the bar. Logan slid his phone over, clicking it over his drink. Cheers, mate, Logan said. He took a sip. What is it? Oliver asked. 85-1 odds the North African drones use a nuke in the battle. What? A nuke? No teams use nukes for something that close to civilization. That would be suicide. They'd lose sponsorships and some of their weapons manufacturers may back off of supporting them. You know, Oliver, I don't even want to think about this, and I'm sorry about bringing this up, but when was the last time any humans died from a War Machines encounter? Oh man, Oliver sighed. Let's see. Anything major or just like 1 or 2 mates? I guess something like this. I mean, if that nuke gets dropped right there the laser bots are on now, that city will surely be affected. Maybe not by the blast, but the after effect? So yeah, the last serious thing. Well, there was an incident in the States like 4 years ago. The Southeast Indian Alliance and the Americas had an air battle over the Atlantic Ocean. It was just drones and robot-piloted jets, and like 100 people died because some of the Southeast Indian Alliance missiles missed their targets, flew all the way to New York City, and killed some people. It's kind of crazy. Whoa. The thought unnerved Logan, and he looked back at the screens. That freaks me out, mate. What? Oliver asked. People dying for war machines. Actual war human casualties, Logan said, swirling his drink around. I know wars used to be fought with people just a few generations ago, but you know, you just don't think about it that way anymore. That seems so cruel and backwards to sacrifice your own people like that. Oliver nodded. I get that. Okay, you gonna bet? Logan said, looking back at his ante-options. Scrolling a second, he looked up. 30 seconds. Without hesitation, he lifted his phone, pointed towards the betting station, and placed his bet. 400 on something interesting. What did you bet? Oliver asked. You'll see. Let's enjoy the show. Need another frothy? Oliver got another drink, and they found a less crowded spot in the bar. They had a window to their right to the outside, and the weather was cloudy, but enjoyable. Australian spring wasn't half bad sometimes. Both men had a great view of the screens along the walls. Giant panels encompassed the entire bar in every corner you looked. This establishment was historically known for War Machines betting on battle days. They were one of the oldest War Machine betting pubs around, and anyone who enjoyed the battles frequented this spot. But War Machines wasn't everyone's thing. What do you think those bots are doing? Logan asked. They're spreading further out, covering as much ground as possible, it looks like. Oliver considered. It's definitely a good strategy against those drones. Both men leaned forward on their stools as the drones rounded the corner. Still bored? Not when I have 600 riding on what's about to happen there, mate. Oliver noticed how hushed the bar had become. Many of the conversations had subsided, and most people were now either talking quietly or just watching the screen. There was a lot of money riding on what was about to happen. He wondered how the bars and betting in the Americas was going right now. He would love to travel back to the States again sometime soon. He was from Los Angeles, and he hadn't been back since they had moved. He'd always wanted to go back and visit. Oliver knew the Americas needed this victory. They had lost so many skirmishes in the last year or two. The Americas always put up their AI system as collateral payment if they lost, which Oliver just thought was so ignorant. because when they lost, the rest of the world got to level the playing field by using the AI design of the Americas. Everyone in War Machines knew the Americas were in the running for the best AI intelligence in the game. However, most people placed those AI systems in tanks, drones, animalized robots, and other machines. The Americas never left a humanoid robot design. These bots today look like a humanoid figure with a dark canine head, like some ancient Egyptian pharaoh painting. Was that a jab at North Africa? The bots of the Americas would always pilot other machines, which seemed kind of antiquated. Why would you give the AI robot pilot a machine to drive when you could just program the vehicle itself? Oliver had watched videos discussing the pros and cons of the coding behind it, but he often got lost in those debates. Being the biggest team on Earth, making up a third of the world, the Americas were often given the benefit of the doubt despite their recent miserable track record. Oliver sipped his beer, eager to see what North Africa had in store and how the Americas might bring a much-needed win home today. The drones gradually dispersed, beginning to propel themselves sideways around the mountain as they advanced. As soon as they cleared the hillside, a barrage of missiles flew into the trees. The robots of the Americas leapt sideways, scrambling in every direction. The bots near the foot of the mountain aimed upward and fired their anti-aircraft defenses. The orange bullets left a trail behind them. The drone closest to the robots caught on fire and began to spin in a violent descent. Logan spoke without looking away from the action. "This is a level 2, right?" "Yeah," Oliver replied. "Wasn't too big of a dispute. I'm not sure what it was about, but yeah, today it's only a level 2. The 4 remaining drones fanned apart from one another as they continued to slide directly above the sprawl of robots on the mountainside. Thousands of orange-trailed bullets rose from the trees. The drones had micropropellers underneath their wings, allowing them to dodge in minuscule longitudinal motions. "Are you seeing how they dodge those bullets? Crikey," Oliver said. "Uh-oh," Logan said, pointing to another screen. A second drone was losing elevation, and smoke poured from the front of the plane. More robots turned to eliminate the second drone that was falling from the sky. As the machine nosedived, flames engulfed the entire skeleton, and a small explosion erupted. "They're shooting through." "What?" Logan said. "The robots are splitting up and running around the mountain in 2 groups." "But why?" Logan said. "They seem to be doing well enough. They only lost 4 units taking out 2 of those drones." Some yelling broke out behind Oliver. The 2 men turned, curious of the commotion. The screen in front of the group showed a bay door below one of the drones was opening, and a very large object was now suspended below the drone. "That's a nuke, isn't it?" Logan said, visibly excited. "That's what you bet on," Oliver said, smiling. Glancing around the various screens, the men watched the robot split in 2 directions, traveling around the mountainside, running as fast as possible away from a possible nuclear detonation. "They can't go towards that city," Logan said. "Well," Oliver sighed, "the North Africans can't drop a nuke either. Not near a human city. Nukes aren't even on the table for a level 2 combat. This should not be allowed." "Where's this event taking place?" Logan asked. "Let me see," Oliver said, pulling up his phone. "Looks like China, outside Wangshang City. Population 2.5 million. "Look," Logan said, pointing at one of the main screens. The drone holding the nuke flew toward one of the groups of robots. The camera switched to reveal a second drone had another nuclear bomb suspended below its frame. "They're nuts. They're going to hurt people. It's too close to the city." "Maybe," Oliver said. Logan set his drink down and looked at Oliver. "I'm not okay with this, mate. Why are the Americas allowing the robots to scramble towards human civilization? Aren't there rules against this?" Oliver's eyes bounced from screen to screen. "Yeah, a lot of rules being broken right now. There will be major repercussions. Sponsors, national debts. We'll see." The drones dropped in elevation and flew directly for the robots, lowering the distance the nukes would require for detonation. They opened fire with every cannon they had. The maelstrom of bullets and firepower descending upon the robots looked like someone had dumped hot, steaming water from a bucket. The robots tried to dodge some of the incoming onslaught, but many bots were hit. Several robots turned around while scrambling to escape, firing orange streaks through the smoky mountainside. The visuals were absolutely stunning, and murmurs creeped through the bar as visibility got low, and the orange streaks looked like glowing lightning sprouting up from the clouds. "Are the robots planning on running into that city?" Logan asked. "I don't know," Oliver said. I think the drones are trying not to use their nukes, but they just flew into that smoke. The camera drones flew down into the action. Close-up shots revealed the robots still running, firing back up into the sky at random. The visibility was too low. The two sides were not aware of the exact location of the others. Logan spoke, waving his hands around. Obviously, I don't want to lose my money today, but I don't want any humans to die either. I don't want a nuclear bomb to drop on a human city in China. What are these bots thinking? The camera panned out to reveal two drones flying out of the smoke in hasty retreat. Do you see the third? Oliver asked, searching the screens for any other angles. The third drone rose from the smoke, flames pouring out the back of its main lodge. That's one of them holding the nuke. It's on fire. The drone hummed along slowly, the fire spreading throughout the frame. Not a single person was speaking or moving in the entire bar. The bartender stood motionless, watching the screen in anticipation. Everyone gaped as the drone began to fall from elevation. The autonomous plane never changed course or direction, flying directly away from the battle and the city. The other two drones were miles away, free from the official battle area and out of the equation entirely. Without warning, the nuke dropped from the drone. Several people gasped. One girl even screamed out from somewhere in the bar. Oliver and Logan both stood up from their stools, deaf to anything else occurring in the world. The cameras watched the nuclear bomb fall, and the distance between the falling doom and the forest floor was closing. The bomb passed the tree line, and nothing. The bar came alive with people whispering, some talking. Everyone was asking the same thing. What had happened? Did it not go off? Was it a dud? Were they real nukes, or was it a bluff to get the Americas to run? But why? The camera never budged from the drone as it began to descend, eventually crashing down in flames, swallowed by the green forest and gray mountain range. Shots of the robots still running into the city filled the screens. They were not aware the drones had left, and they were still fleeing. The humanoid, dog-headed robots were entering the outskirts of the city now, with no sign of standing their ground. They were also in full retreat. So, Logan said, did I win? He pulled up his phone. Oh, hell yes, mate. Oh, fuck me dead. Logan looked up toward the betting booth. This is bullshit. I agree, said someone at the next table. What happened? Oliver asked. I won and got paid out of the nuke bet, but only at 10-1, because they didn't use a nuke in direct battle. It was dropped during a retreat and it didn't go off. Real to dead. That's bullshit. Well, Oliver shrugged. At least you didn't lose anything. I lost on my bet for the Americas, Logan said. Oliver nodded, knowing the house won all decisive victory bets in any kind of a draw. But I guess that's a net 3,800 I'm taking home. Not bad at all. Well, hell, I would say so, Oliver said, patting Logan on the back. That's a month of work in my world. They both looked back up at the robots running through Hongshong City. People stopped in the streets and were visibly confused and worried why bots were running through their city. Many realized that answer and began running inside. Confused panic was spreading through the city like slowly rising floodwaters. Logan spoke first. They should know the combat is over. Nothing has been fired for minutes now. Why are they still running into the city? I think things are about to get very interesting. Why do you say that? Logan asked, looking at Oliver. Not right now, but China is not going to be happy. The Americas almost lured 2 nukes onto their city, jeopardizing millions of human lives. They ran towards humans. True, but the North Africans brought the nukes? Oliver considered a moment. Yeah, I am curious how this is going to shake out. Very curious. China has a lot of reasons to be upset. Well, I guess we'll wait and see what comes of it. Logan raised his glass toward the screens. Should be big. Stubby's at my place for whatever comes of this. Something's going to happen. The nukes, endangering an entire city in China. I'll supply everything, you just come over. I added 2 new screens to my War Machines room last week. Really? Oliver said. Logan beamed. Yes, sir. Best War Machines lounge in the whole neighborhood. Got some new gear from our boys too up on the wall. But why not come back here and win some more money? Oliver asked, looking around at everybody. Some people were elated and cheering, but other people obviously lost money and were not currently in any type of celebratory mood. Sometimes, mate, it's just better to not have to leave the house. Keep it at home. Oliver nodded. Well, You got yourself a deal. Another round on me before we go home today, though, Logan said. I told you, it's my shout. 9 weeks later. Mate, I am stoked. This is going to be big, Logan said. I agree. Thanks for having me over for this. Cheers, Oliver said. Cheers. This is an amazing room. It really came together, man. Didn't it? Logan said, looking around. The basement den was the size of an average living room, except one entire wall was filled with screens. A large screen encompassed the middle of the wall, with medium-sized screens filling in the sides all around it. Different channels and services had their different drone cameras. If you had multiple screens at home or in a bar, you were guaranteed to see more of the action. Another wall had a few medium-sized screens as well. They displayed statistics for the match, and this collection of particular screens was a full display of the current War Machines encounter. Your kids here today? Yeah, somewhere, Logan said, twirling his hand. I try to get them to waltz with me down here. They will sometimes, but they're not really into it. Not yet, at least. Oliver nodded, glancing around the various screens at all the bots getting into a starting formation. The dark gray and polished humanoid robots of the West versus the burnt orange, red, and white collection of machines from the East. The Americas versus the Republic of the East, which included China. The Republic initiated a level 5 with the Americas and demanded retribution for the events that took place 9 weeks ago. The Republic of the East called for reparations, claiming they were considering this event as if both nuclear bombs had detonated and killed humans, since the Americas acted in a way that could have resulted in human loss. The Republic of the East had another Level 5 encounter scheduled with North Africa next month. China was livid and pulled their entire Republic team forward for these 2 encounters. 2 Level 5 encounters was rare, especially to happen in back-to-back months, and on top of that, it was almost unheard of it for 2 Level 5s to include the same team within a 6-month span. Oliver wondered how the Republic of the East was going to pull it off. What are the demands? Oliver asked. Logan glanced at his side screens on the wall. Pointing his phone, the information doubled onto the screen in his hand. Wow. China, or the Republic of the East, I should say, wants land as payment. Alaska? Alaska? Are we serious, mate? I didn't know that. Really? That seems like a joke. Nobody demands land anymore, Oliver said. Logan continued reading. Yeah. And they want $2 billion from the collection of South American countries, not the states, which is strange, and all from this one event before. There is no way the Americas agreed to this. How did they not barter them down? Not sure, Logan said. But the Americas demanded all AI code from China if they win, plus some other small things. All their code for every machine? Why did the Republic agree to this? Both teams must be pretty confident. That's always been the States, though, and now the Americas in general. Or nuts, mate. Or bloody fucking nuts. The Americas would lose land. The entirety of Alaska. We're about to see, Oliver said, laughing. Interesting place to host the event, here on our own soil. Can you believe it? A level 5 here in Australia, mate. Aw, second ever, Logan said, sipping his beer. That's right. Oliver remembered the first and only level 5 event to ever take place in Australia. He was still in the States, in middle school. Russia and the States were duking it out in the Red Sands. They made school attendance optional that day at his school. His mom had been livid and went to the school to let them know her exact thoughts on the matter at hand. Oliver's mom always hated war machines. His dad was so-so. She would talk about how the new machine and sport-based games allowed war to just become a constant background distraction that the world played like angry little children, tearing up the environment. She once told Oliver that if humans were still involved in their own fighting, then people would hold war in higher regard and that we might cherish our planet and neighbors more. She also said it was just another grimy way for advertisers and corporations and weapon manufacturers to get ahead. This is eventually why she demanded that they should move from America, and eventually they landed up in Australia. The Aussies didn't care half as much about war machines back then as your average American. Oliver never really understood why she was so upset and against war machines. He had loved the entire system since he was little, fascinated by the machines, tactics, weapons, strategies, all the pageantry leading up to a battle. He didn't get to see that particular event until he went to a friend's house a few weeks later. Thunder Down Under, they had called it. He was glued to the screen as a young boy. He remembered the United States flipping off the Russian bots in the middle of the battle. He and his friends were tickled pink about it. The States had ended up winning. They even held a little celebration at his school about it. America always used to win. But the Americas were not doing too hot recently. Oliver and his young friend both said that they would work for the War Machines team someday when they grew up. That didn't quite pan out, but Oliver never stopped being a fan. And after they moved to Australia, he became a fan of the Aussies. "Do you remember what they called it, mate?" Logan asked. "Of course I do. Thunder Down Under." "Oh, that's it," Logan laughed. "I wonder what the Aussies will think of for this one." Oliver considered. "That's going to depend on what is about to go down, I suppose." The countdown clock began on the screen. The Americans had thousands of metallic, reflective humanoid bots on their side. Many were driving planes, tanks, and giant mech warriors of various colors. Some of the piloted vehicles had damage on them from previous battles. Other bots were on the ground with their own large weaponry. The mechs were an old ploy and weren't used very much by other countries. Most teams moved past piloted mechs into full autonomous vehicles and tanks. Those Americas, though, they never left their robots behind. And the dog heads on all the robots made a return again. Same heads from last time. Hey, they still have Anubis heads, the Americas. Anubis heads, Logan said. Yeah, from ancient Egyptian art and myth. Anubis was a man with a black canine head. He was said to weigh the souls of others and deem if they were worthy in the afterlife. It was a representation of life and regeneration. I saw it on one of the pre-shows this week. Interesting. Oh, piss off, Oliver said, laughing. The Republic of the East had a wide array of machines lined up on their side. A giant mustard-colored gorilla robot was in the middle of their fleet. Black streaks lined the body of the giant metal gorilla, scars from earlier battles. Multiple variations of planes hovered in place. Some were very oddly shaped with distinct sharp lines, almost like some metal version of paper planes. They were debuting a new type of tank that could stand upright and transform into a bipedal robot. One of the pre-shows that week showed an old American cartoon from the early 2000s that forecasted similar types of robots. It used to be a kids' show. Oliver was antsy to see more of these kinds of vehicles come around. The Republic of the East sported several new sponsors, decking their fleet in yellow and black. Some major funds must have been paid, because that company's logo was front and center on almost every bot on the side of the Republic of the East, and many of these bots seemed to have some custom new paint job just for that new sponsor. Must have been some serious cash. The countdown clock struck 2 minutes. Logan cleared his throat. I heard the Americas didn't challenge any of the bot picks from the Republic. What? Oliver said. That's insane. A 5-day period occurred each time leading up to an event, when both teams got to eliminate parts of the opposition lineup. Once the category got selected, the two teams get to barter how many units and what types of units can be used by the other team. This prevents things from becoming too one-sided from the start, and it tries to eliminate unfair advantages. Teams can also protect certain machines, keeping the other side from eliminating certain choices. Both sides are always allowed a certain amount of secret units they can register with the council, but would not have to notify their opponent about. The hype and press for every event was substantial, especially a level 5 like this, on the heels of a near disaster with 2 nuclear bombs and robots running through a city. Oliver asked, Did the Republic challenge anything? A ton, apparently, Logan said. The Americas didn't contest at all. You know, Logan, are the Americas about to sandbag this? Lose? On purpose? Why? I don't know, Oliver said. I'm beginning to have a really odd feeling about all of this leading to today. The Americas' actions against the North Africans, putting human lives at risk, giving their code to practically everyone in the last year or so, losing over and over and over after a very long reign of huge success in War Machines. I remember 2 years ago, nobody could touch the Americas, and now they practically never win. But, mate, are the Americas really going to give up that money And all of Alaska? Why would they sandbag and lose a part of the states? Do you think there's a possibility of the team splitting up again into the states and South Central Americas? I don't know, man. I just think something is up. It's like the Americas gave up already. Or at least they want the Republic to think they've given up. The states would never do that back in the day. The Americas wouldn't lose on purpose, Logan said. He shook his empty beer bottle. Want another one from the slab? It's about to start, Oliver said, pointing his beer at the countdown clock. 45 seconds. Logan bounded up the stairs. Is that a yes or a no? Yes, Oliver called out. Oliver had watched many War Machine events. Nobody would refuse to challenge opponent machines for a level 5 that included a land exchange. Nobody would throw that away. Oliver began to get unexplainably nervous about today's event. This battle was out in the middle of nowhere, the Whoop Whoop, as Aussies called it, thousands of kilometers away from Sydney. But his pulse began to elevate. The Americans almost got a city nuked last time. What might they pull now? He then began to wish this level 5 encounter were happening elsewhere and not in Australia. Logan ran back down the stairs. Here you are, mate, he said, falling back on the couch. The countdown counter clicked on the screen, large red digits. 3, 2, 1, 0. As soon as the countdown clock hit 0, the Anubis bots of the Americas turned toward the cameras. One by one, the screens went black as the coverage drones were shot down. Oliver's mouth dropped open. Logan almost spat his beer all over himself. Some of the screens switched, showing the bots from other angles before also clicking off. The Americas were targeting all of the cameras, and the bots from the Republic side were not moving. They weren't moving, they weren't firing any weapons, nothing. The hair stood up on the back of Oliver's neck, and goosebumps broke out down his arms. Before the last screen in their War Machine's watch party blacked out, the two men saw the Republic begin to move their units. They too turned towards the cameras and helped shoot down the surviving drones. Within 2 minutes, all the screens in the room were blacked out. The emptiness was quickly lit up with War Machine's anchors covering the issues, explaining their confusion about what had just happened, and they claimed they would send additional camera drones out as soon as they could. Logan? I don't think that was good at all. I'm freaking out, mate. What just happened? The Americas turned on the cameras. What are they doing? The two men would get to watch another 30 minutes of coverage and ask repeatedly what was happening. The autonomous planes of the Republic of the East would fly into Sydney within the hour, and the hostile slaughter or forced relocation of all humans around the world would begin. That is, except the 10% of the world population that was living in the Americas. People of the Americas, from the northern frozen islands of Canada down to the southern tip of Brazil and Argentina, would be doing just fine. Find out what happens in the second half of this story on our next episode, War Machines Part 2. Our recap for this 2-part story will occur on Part 3. Talk to you soon, listener. We would like to thank Kevin MacLeod for his music found on Incompetech.com.